Boom, another pre-recorded day, and oh my, oh my, oh my, we are moving very, very close to a breakout point. And as we see this consistent news from almost every single crypto media channel out there, the bottom is being called as in. And we had actually had hoped that this would be the case because the downside was around $3,600 to $4,200. And it would actually have made mining unprofitable, likely for a short period of time, which has happened before in the past for Bitcoin. But nonetheless, I'm actually starting to feel more and more confident that this is the, I guess, the interim bottom, as we've touched it so many times. And now we see that consistent building support right along our trend line. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Obviously, with Bitcoin here, our favorite, one of the fundamental reason I think people should be in this space is, first off, understanding what decentralization is, what it means as a concept. I still think that a lot of people rely on the aspect of decentralized just tech in general, but okay, so for instance, let's use my cell phone as an example. The cell phone here, this is made by a particular centralized company, but the deflationary process that happens with tech over the years allows it so that this cell phone I have is likely the same quality of cell phone that the presidents or any of the high-level monarchies have, whatever they might be, patriarchies, have all around the planet. And that's really what I guess decentralization and deflation through tech does. It allows what was once only possible via the financial support of a king or queen to the average everyday human. And that's extremely important to understand because decentralization isn't just about the tech itself, it's about the deflationary process that tech creates as it grows at exponential speeds. So once I realized that Bitcoin was an information technology that's censorship resistant, for the most part, everything can be censored to some degree, especially in the court of public opinion, where we can trash people for absolutely nothing. And sentiment from public opinion shouldn't be viewed as a truth of source, because how many people believe the earth is flat? But anyways, the point of this story is this process that's taking place is really about the empowerment of individuals through the deflationary process and price of entry to opportunity all around the world. And it is one of the most astounding reasons to be invested in this space. So I'm not going to look at Ripple today because there's too many fanboys around that token and it's just impossible to keep up with the conversation. And I don't wish to. And I do suspect that it's going to drop lower, as I said. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll look at it at the very end. We'll look at Ripple at the very end, just because from a price speculation point, I think when you have a community that is that emotionally driven to believe what they believe and ignore other evidence, we should watch that, because that's that's a trend in community groupthink. And groupthink is in itself can be very dangerous. We see this with all these sorts of riots and crazy things people would never have done if they were by themselves, but that they then do as they are supported by their group. They make infinitely horrible decisions. I'm not saying that XRP is a horrible decision, but I'm saying groupthink can often lead to very horrible decisions. So we have got Ethereum down around 1.8% this morning. Again, we've started to follow a new uptrend, which broke out of its downward pattern, which is actually extremely bullish, as you can see here. Well, okay, let's hold on. Let's refrain here. If you like this content, give us those thumbs up. If you're new to the charity fucking bear family, give us those, pound that subscribe button. We say all sorts of ridiculous shit. We do all sorts of ridiculous things. That's part of the fun of being here. I'm not particularly concerned. I like the authenticity that occurs when people really pursue their own interests. Obviously, that means there's ground for failure, there's room for mistakes, and I actually believe that's an important part of learning and growth. Anyways, with Ethereum here, not investment advice, but we have gone into the sideways channel now. This is important because I think that Ethereum has reached its bottom. So now that we see almost all the tokens bottoming out, our favorite are some of our favorites like Litecoin, founding very, very strong support right below the 236 line at around $54 today. I had it charted to go a little lower than to around 42 to 45-ish. And I think that still will happen only because, again, my main chart concern here is in the Bitcoin space, because we're looking at capturing attention and energy. This little trend line here that brings us to October 18th with around 6,700. This is going to be the proof or the denial of that breakout or the breakdown. So every trader has been watching this triangle for the last 2 months because it's an extremely powerful change in direction, potentially either up or down. Again, the downside for any of this is that it could all go to zero. One of the things we're investing against is the fact that the stock markets have been running in, I guess, overinflated prices. Like here's 2008, right before the stock market crash of 2008, and then bam, all the way down here. And look what we've done here in 2018. We have gone dramatically higher than both in early 2000s and 2008. And if this crashes, now see, the question of the economic collapse, I think, comes more importantly not from the collapse of the stock market, because underlying business principles say that each of those assets and the fundamental products and services that each company provides is actually valuable. That's extremely important to remember, because it's really the dollars that are losing the confidence and value. The US dollar will inevitably fail, but we are going to see the emerging market currencies lose first. So for instance, the colone, which is the currency that we use here in Costa Rica, it's actually dipped to all-time lows. Here you can see the colone, all-time lows in 2018. Many other countries are going through the same thing. The Turkish lira, lirica, that's not how we spell that. The Turkish lira here, again, we're going to all-time lows in 2018. So we consistently see this lower downtrend. And to see actually a more justified version of this, it's probably best to look at it against the United States dollar. But I guess it's unimportant to say the least. Look, Bitcoin, Ethereum here up at the top, my most used currencies or monies. Anyways, the point of this is the failing paper currencies are really the markets that have been sending the stock market in the upward direction. And I think that although all assets will likely suffer through some of this chaos. Oh no, where is my line? Whatever, we'll just delete it. We'll add that one back in. I'm sure everything will suffer through the chaos. It's actually beneficial. We need to find real price discovery. And it's one of the reasons why investing in decentralization is so important, is because until we remove all the corrupt angles that are in like the banking system that's already there, we won't find a true value system. And it's important to remember. So back to Digibyte. Digibyte's dropped, had a nice 5% run up, just a little tiny breakout, and then it's returned. It's almost retraced all those gains here in the last 24 hours. But again, this area here is a very strong line of support and resistance, so I don't believe it will go any lower. And as a matter of fact, this could be the start of a lot of momentum, especially because we're seeing so much positive news come out from the mainstream media about this being the actual bottom. So for any institutional investor that isn't paying close attention to the volume, the daily moving averages, etc., that's where they get a lot of their news from. So this could spell great things for the entire ecosystem as a whole. Now, here we go again. As you can see, Bitcoin holding true and strong at only a negative 0.84%. Well, every other digital asset has lost multiple percents, except for OMG. OMG here, I believe, is right near the bottom. I don't think that it can actually go too much lower. So around the mid of October, which is coming up close here in the next 10 days, I'm going to be entering more of my digital alternative positions. And just for fun, ladies and gentlemen, ravencoin, we are now becoming bigger and bigger fans, and I'm actually going to look into try to mining this token. I think there's a lot of value here. I've chatted with a few friends in the background. We wrote a little article. I'm actually going to do a deep dive into ravencoin, and we chatted with Bruce Fenton, and he said yes to an interview. So hopefully we can have him on before the conference in New Hampshire. If you guys are in that area, go check out that conference as well. I don't remember the name of it, but I will try to leave the links below if I can. Anyways, nonetheless, to dive back in, all of our favorite tokens right now are getting near their all-time lows as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to be starting to look for re-entry points and slowly and surely take new positions back in the alternative digital asset space. For any of us that followed with NEO, we went from pennies to hundreds of dollars. We sold around 150. And even with NEO, these are looking like entry times. Cardano is right around the corner. I'm not going to do it yet because I do suspect Bitcoin is going to do one more push low. Maybe not lower, but low. And then from there, I think we'll see the bottom finally in all of the other alternative digital assets, just as NEO, Cardano, etc. See, and here, even with NEO, you see these very similar trends. So let's look really quick. NEO, right? Look at this bottom trend line. Cardano, look at this bottom trend line, holding quite stable. Digibyte, bottom trend line here, quite stable. Although actually, I would rather look at Digibyte versus Bitcoin here. I think, there we go. I trust this chart a little bit more just because they're UTXO versus UTXO, my favorite kind of blockchain. And then Litecoin as well. You see this consistent kind of sideways trend. So we are very, very close to the bottom on every single token. And that is something to be excited about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. This is Teal with the Arcane Bear. I want to thank you all for supporting us as we go through these wild changes. Remember, you can join us on the Telegram channel in the links below, and please do so. There are a bunch of intelligent individuals that help support everyone through the process of learning and growing, as we all are. We are humans, not flawless, prone to mistakes, and we do our best to recover and make light of what we can as we move forward. Give us those thumbs up. And that's about it. We'll see you guys on the other side. Hopefully it's a bright and sunny day where you are, because where we are, the jungle is looking... Can I get it over this far? Yes. The jungle is looking absolutely gorgeous. See you guys on the other side.